Clear Cloud Communications Billing and Donation System is brought to you by Christina Graham, Karen Hall, Frank Martone, and Brian Oglesby. First, I will start by giving you a brief introduction of our product by covering the following 4 topics: purpose, intended audience, product scope, and references. The purpose of the Clear Cloud Communications Customer Database project is covered extensively in our SRS document, and it includes an outline of the database design, functionality, software, hardware, operations, and maintenance that we will need to fully implement the Clear Cloud system. The intended audience of our project is currently development and any implementation that will be needed for maintaining the customer database system. Lastly, I would like to talk to you about our product scope. The software being developed will serve as an internal platform which will be used for customer management, customer data entry, and also for maintaining a list of nonprofit organizations. This software will be needed to automate the client service aspect of the company and will also be used by service representatives, management, and system admins. Our plan is to use Microsoft SQL database in order to maintain these records, and will also provide a web-based interface where users can enter data, do customer lookups, and also there will be tools available for management to run reports on all this data. PHP and JavaScript will be used for the web interface, and Java will be used to develop any source code. We have provided a list of references on slide 6 if you would like to take a look. I won't go ahead and read them all for you though. To give you an overall description of the product, I will cover product perspective, product functions, user classes and characteristics, operating environment, design and implementation constraints, user documentation, and assumptions and dependencies. To start, I will give you a perspective of our product. Clear Cloud Communication is an ISP that is a self-contained project. It will run independently from other products, and it will use an interface with the internet. Other related projects that are currently in use are QGive and United Way Contribution website. There are also other websites that are set up to take donations for a specific nonprofit organization, but our product is unique in that it offers a service that people already subscribe to and allows them to donate to any nonprofit organization that they would like. The functionality of our product will include maintaining a SQL database, which will contain client information. It will also create a web-based front in order to access and manage the SQL database. It will also allow customer service representatives to allocate client funds to any nonprofit organizations and manage them as well. This is just a brief idea of the functions of the product, but there is a more detailed list on slide 11 if you would like to take a look. The primary target users of our software will be representatives of internet service providers. While our software is a self-contained project, we do aim to implement our solution by working with other businesses. Our users will be largely representatives working for these companies and possibly our subscribing clients as well. Now to talk a little bit about user classes and characteristics of the software. We will have 3 user classes. The first will be for the system administrator, which will allow complete unrestricted access to the entire system in order to maintain and modify anything as necessary. The second user class will be for customer service representatives. It will allow access to many components of the system, but not all. The components that it will have access to will be related to the client in order to facilitate the client's use of our product. Some of these functionalities will include the ability to add, modify, and delete client service plans. They will also be able to review and generate bills for the customer. The third class will be for the clients and will likely be implemented in the future. It is likely that clients will see an interest in managing their own accounts, so we want to have this option available. The user class for clients will be very similar to that of the service representative, but they will only be able to view and modify their own service plans and stuff that pertains to them, whereas the service representative can view information for all clients. In the future, when we do open our product up to all clients, instead of just service representatives, we'll likely implement a support group as well for these users. This will help facilitate their usage of our product. Currently, the scope of our project has not necessitated the use of any support group, but as our company grows, we will likely implement this in the future.
For the operating environment, we will implement our solution at the businesses of ISPs. Each business will have a copy of our software as well as a server to hold the database. The minimum hardware and software requirements needed for our software to run are as follows: Microsoft SQL Server 2008 or better, server and CPUs with a dual-core processor or better, a minimum of 25 gigabytes RAM available on the server, installation of Apache Tomcat, an installation of Java Standard Edition Development Kit 6, Update 27. There will be one server for each business that will hold all records in a local database. The client can choose to have as many computers as they would like. Each CPU will have its own copy of the software and will be able to access the database. The specs of these machines must be compliant with any requirements listed above. Design and implementation constraints are as follows. The database engine shall be a MS SQL Server database. PHP and JavaScript shall be used to build the web-based user interface. Java shall be used to develop core code. User rights and privileges shall be controlled through security groups or roles that allow access control for administrators, customer service representatives, and customers. For user documentation, an online help feature shall be provided as part of the web interface for the system that describes and illustrates all system functions. In terms of assumptions and dependencies, the following assumptions have been made. All users will have general knowledge of basic computer skills. The web and database servers will be available around the clock, and the development team will use this SRS to implement the system. The external interface requirements cover user interface requirements, software interfaces, and communications interfaces. The web-based interface shall consist of a login page which will ask for the username and password of the user. Upon successful verification, the user will be transferred to the main page where they can access the appropriate buttons and menus for performing specific actions for their designated role. Based on the selections the user makes on the main page, they will be redirected to subpages representing the different functionalities of the system. Once the user has completed their actions on a subpage, they will be returned back to the main page. A log-off button shall also be provided for the user to end their session and return to the login page. Here we see an example of the login page for the system. The user will enter their username and password and click the Submit button. Upon successful validation of the login information, the user will be transferred to the main screen. If login information cannot be validated, an error message will be displayed, and the user must re-enter their username and password to continue. Next we have the View Bill page, which includes the billing period, current charges, plans and services, charitable donation, and total amount due. Next is the View Contact Info page, which allows the customer to see their current contact information. If the user clicks the Edit button, they will be redirected to the next page, which is the Edit Contact Info page. Here the user may enter new contact information in the provided text boxes. When the user is done editing, they may click the Submit button to save their information to the database, or click the Cancel button to return to the previous page. The View Charitable Donations page displays the nonprofit organization, if any, that the customer has chosen, and the donation amount will be added to their monthly bill. If the user would like to change any of the listed information, they may click the Edit button, which will redirect them to the next page. The Edit Charitable Donations page allows the customer to add a charitable donation to their monthly bill or to cancel or edit a previously selected option. When the user clicks the Submit button, the new information will be validated and added to the database, or the user may click the Cancel button to return to the previous page. For software interfaces, a Microsoft SQL Server 2008 database shall be used to maintain all customer records. PHP and JavaScript shall be used to build the web interface to the database, and Java shall be used to develop any core code. For communication interfaces, the system requires HTTP to communicate with the server and connect to the database. The web-based user interface for the system is the only means of communication between the user and the system, and will be accessible through all popular web browsers that interact with JavaScript and HTML pages.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Oglesby. As you can probably tell by now, not all of us in the group have high-quality microphones, so if you would please go ahead and turn your volume up, that would be appreciated. I'll be primarily covering the system features, which, just to go ahead and list a few of them off for you, we'll be covering the ability to log in, add users, remove users, create new users, update customer information, delete customer information, add nonprofit organizations, update nonprofit organizations, and delete nonprofit organizations. Moving on to the next slide, you'll see that we'll also be covering add service plan, update service plan, delete service plan, view customer bill, view customer profile, update customer profile, select nonprofit and donation amount, and view nonprofit donation report. And lastly, we'll be ending it with log out before moving on to our next presenter. So we'll start off with the login capability. Now this feature is, by its very definition, probably the most simplified use of the system available. Now, how it works is it will essentially allow all users to log into the Clear Cloud Communication system, and thus prevent any misuse of the system. Now, how this is done is basically when a user logs in, they'll be redirected to the main page. And the way we are going to implement this is so that if a user does not appear in our database, meaning they have no stored username or no stored password, they will not be granted access to the Clear Cloud Communication system. Now this will help prevent any customer loss of information or any kind of hacking, along with some other basic security features. And we'll move right along to the next section now. Next up on our list is going to be a role by the system administrator known as add user. Now what this role will allow our system admin to do is to essentially add customer service representatives to the list of users. Once a successful validation of the employee ID has taken place, the customer representative's details are displayed and the user is asked for confirmation. On confirmation, the customer service representative is added to the C3BDS user list. Now the purpose of this feature is to add a customer service representative to the Clear Cloud Communication user list. Input shall be employee ID of the customer service representative. A success message shall be displayed if data is validated and entered into the database successfully. Otherwise, an error message shall be displayed. Up next on our list of features is the ability to remove users. Now this function will be carried out by the system administrator and will be used in order to remove customer service representatives from the user list. The primary reason for this would be, say, the termination of an employee, or perhaps someone was moved up to a different position. Either way, we have to get the user out of there. Now, on successful validation of the employee ID, the customer service representative's details are displayed and the user is asked for confirmation. On confirmation, the customer service representative is removed from the Clear Cloud Communication user list. We'll now move on to create new customer. The create new customer feature is one of the core functionalities of the Clear Cloud Communication system. Obviously, the system needs to be able to add customers in order to function, or the system does nothing. Now, this feature is carried out by the customer service representative or the system admin, depending on the need. What this purpose actually allows us to do is, on the successful validation of each customer information data field, the customer is added to the database and a confirmation message is displayed. Once the customer has been added, they can begin using the system as normal. Up next on our list of features, we have the ability to update customer information. This is yet another role carried out primarily by the customer service representative, although it can be inherited by the system administrator. This role essentially allows us to update customer information, such as telephone numbers or other forms of contact, so that we can keep all customer profiles up to date. Now, the purpose of this feature is to update the customer profile. Input shall be required customer. A success message shall be displayed if data is validated and added to the database successfully. Otherwise, an error message will be displayed. Up next, we have the ability to delete customers. Now, this feature will be primarily carried out whenever we need to remove a customer from the database. The input shall be the customer ID, and a success message shall be displayed if the database is updated successfully. In the event that we cannot successfully delete the customer, an error message will be displayed. Up next, we have the ability to add a nonprofit organization. Now, this feature is yet another function done by the customer service representative and represents another core function to the system. Without the ability to add a nonprofit organization, the system again essentially becomes useless. Now, this feature will be carried out by adding the various nonprofit organization data, the name, the address, the phone, the minimum and maximum donations allowed, etc., etc. A success message will be displayed in the event that it is successfully added to the system. If we cannot, for whatever reason, add the system to the database, it will be removed entirely and we will reprocess the message once more. Up next, we have the ability to update a nonprofit organization. Now, once a nonprofit organization has been added to the system, there may come a time where we need to update the information regarding it. Say their phone number changes, they move to a new building and have to change their address, etc., etc. This will be carried out by entering any of the required necessary data to update the profile. Now, unlike the previous section, you won't need to enter every single field. You will only need to say what you're updating, and the system will carry it out from there. Next, we have the ability to delete a nonprofit organization. Now, this is key not only from a operational standpoint, but additionally a security standpoint in the event that a fraudulent system were to make its way into the database. Now, this ability is carried out by the customer service representative, and the input required is the MPO ID. Now, once this is entered, again, a success message will be displayed, and we will be able to validate from the system admin page as to whether or not the MPO has actually been deleted. In the event we do not successfully delete the system, we will be allowed to remove it later, and an error message will be displayed. Up next on our list of features, we have the ability to add a service plan. Now, what this essentially is the way in which you will make your donations to the system. The input shall be the plan name, the options, and of course the rates and other useful information. If a plan cannot be successfully updated, it will of course display an error message, and we will be allowed to try to recreate it later. Moving on once again, we now come to the Update Service Plan feature. Now, just like nonprofit organizations, service plans also need to be updated. Say the rates should change, or the name of it should even change. This will be done by entering in the required updated fields as opposed to entering in the entire fields over again like when we were creating it. In the event that an update fails, it will display an error message and you will be allowed to try again later. Again, like with nonprofit organizations, we will also have the ability to delete service plans. This will primarily be done in case a nonprofit organization is removed, or in the event that a plan has been updated so much that it would be pointless to keep it in the system and must be completely removed entirely. The input shall be the service plan ID, and a success message will be displayed in the event that it is successful. If the update fails, or the deletion fails, you will be allowed to try again later, and an error message will be displayed. We now move on to some of the features provided to our customer users in the ClearCloud communication systems, the first being the ability to view their bill. Now, obviously, if you are paying for something, you will want to have some kind of a receipt for it. This is exactly that. This feature is designed to be a bill specific to every customer and will show them exactly what they've been purchasing over the last month or even the last day. In the event that a bill cannot be displayed, it will of course display an error message, and users will be prompted to contact a system administrator or customer representative. In addition to their bill, customers will also be able to view their customer profile. This will store unique information such as contact information, their unique customer ID, and any other information they feel is necessary or important to share with the ClearCloud communication system. This will be validated by a password and user ID and will be safe from any outside attack. In the event that a customer profile cannot be viewed for whatever reason, it will prompt an error message and users will be asked to contact a system administrator or customer representative. We now move on to yet another customer feature, which is the ability to update their customer profile. Now, just like last time, you won't only want to view your customer profile, you want to be able to make changes to it as well. Say your name changes, or you want to use a new user ID, or you need to update your contact information. This is the feature that will allow you to do so. In the event that your contact information or other information cannot be updated, you will be displayed an error message and asked to contact a system administrator or customer representative. We now move on to the most important part of the system, which is the ability to select a nonprofit organization and the amount you wish to donate to them. Obviously, this is the most important because since this is a charity program, you will need to actually be able to give money to somebody. Now, this will primarily be done by selecting which plan you want to use, as well as which nonprofit organization you wish to donate to. In the event that a donation fails, you will be prompted and your transaction will be canceled. This will prevent any kind of fraud or any mistransactions. Moving on to our next slide, once you have made a donation, you will be able to review a report of the nonprofit donation you made. Now, this serves as a form of a receipt in order to ensure that you did pay the correct amount and that you were not charged without your knowing. This is vital in preventing fraud and other illegal actions with the account. In the event that fraud does occur, you will be prompted to contact a customer representative or a system administrator. We now move on to our final slide, which is the ability to log out of the system. Once you're done, you obviously won't want to stick around for too much longer, so you will be allowed to remove yourself from the page. Once you click the log out button, your account will be signed out and the login page will once again be displayed. We advise all users to continually log out of the system rather than simply closing the window, as this will help ensure no fraud occurs and that all users are logged out successfully. This concludes my portion of the presentation. Once again, I have been Brian Oglesby. I hope you enjoyed this section. We now move on to our fourth and final presenter.
Hello, I'm Frank Martone, and I will be your final presenter for the Clear Cloud Communications Billing Donation System. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other non-functional requirements, such as the performance, safety, and security requirements, as well as software quality attributes and business rules used for our system design. Our performance requirements are that the C3BDS system must maintain 100% accuracy with all transactions, as well as process those requests in a reasonable time frame. If there are any failed transactions, the system must alert the customer so that they're aware and can resubmit if needed. We want to ensure that the system is easy to use and understand, and it must provide basic instructions for use. We also require that there be designated business hours in which the customer service reps are always reachable. And finally, customers must be able to view their transactions and account info at any time on demand. The safety requirements for the C3BD system put in place a system of checks and balances. Users must not provide their username or password to anyone, and that includes system admins and customer service reps. To ensure client protection, a system administrator must have both customer and an additional system admin's approval to access that customer's account. Also, both the system admin and customer sales reps' accounts must remain completely secure. For security requirements, it is crucial that the entire system remains secure and safe from hackers due to the sensitive nature of client information. All user accounts must be protected to prevent fraudulent transactions, and audits will also be carried out on posted charities to eliminate the potential for fraudulent charities from being generated. Now, when we designed the C3BDS, we kept the following three things in mind: simplistic, easy, and reliable. It is designed to be simplistic and easy to use with only basic computer knowledge. It is easily accessed by admin users and modified to suit client needs. And it is 100% reliable in terms of processing orders and donations. The following business rules were implemented during the design of the C3BDS. New roles may only be granted to a user by a system admin. The core of the system may only be accessed by a system admin. Only a CS rep may issue a refund, and only the customer may make donations for their account, and all transactions will be insured and protected against fraud. Now, here we have provided a glossary of definitions for the acronyms used throughout this presentation. If at any point you come across a term you are unsure of, feel free to reference Appendix A for clarification. To wrap up the presentation, I'd like to share two diagrams developed to help lay out the design of the Clear Cloud Communications billing donation system. In Appendix B, we have included a use case diagram as well as a class diagram to visually express how the C3BDS is being designed. Here in B1, we have the use case diagram, which displays all of the actions or functions required by the system. We split it up by 3 roles that will be using the system: System Admin, Customer Service Rep, and Customer. Here, we have the actions that will be available to the System Admin. The first thing that you see is that not only does the System Admin have the actions displayed here, but they also inherit the actions available to the Customer Service Rep role. Next, we have the Customer Service Rep section of the use case diagram. Once again, you see all the actions available to this role, but again, they also inherit the actions available to the customer role. And here in the final section of the use case diagram, we have broken down all the actions available to the customer role. And again, through inheritance, all those actions are inherited up to each previous role. Now in B2, we've provided a breakdown of the class diagram, which gives a view of the C3BDS from the perspective of system objects, as well as how those objects interact with one another and the functions available to each of them. Feel free to review these diagrams, and if you have any questions at all with the diagrams or with any part of the C3 billing donation system, we'll be more than happy to answer them. Well, myself and the entire Clear Cloud development team would like to thank you for this opportunity to share our vision and designs. We look forward to sharing future progress updates as well as the launch of the Clear Cloud Communications billing and donation system. Thank you.